Greetings and salutations, Scribblers. Today, we're chatting about building your query list. So, writing and revising your manuscript is just the start of your journey for traditional publication. You're going to also then have to find an agent to shop your manuscript out to publishers. This is a big step, and putting together a solid query list is as important as polishing up your manuscript or writing a banger of a query letter. The common wisdom of choosing an agent is that it's better to have no agent than a bad agent. So you really want to make sure that you put in the effort and do your research ahead of time to know who's going to be the best fit for you and hopefully for your manuscript, right? So one question I get a lot is, how do you find good agents? And that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to talk about some great resources as well as how to do a little bit of lateral research to ensure that you have the right people on your list. Let's start with where to find agents. The first place I suggest you look is in the acknowledgments of novels that you love. This is a great jumping off point. You'll want those books to be in the same age range and genre as your manuscript, but take a minute and read through them. This can give you a lot of insight into an agent's taste and the style of writing that they could be looking for because they chose to represent that book. So if your book has similar elements or a similar style to it, chances are it might also appeal to them, okay? So you're going to make a list of agents from what you're reading in the acknowledgement sections. The next place that I recommend to find agents is manuscript wish list, and that is linked down below in the comments. You can go there. So let's head over there, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the website and how you'll be able to find agents on there. So manuscript wishlist is a free resource where you can search for agents using criteria that matches your manuscript. So you can do this one of two ways. You can go up to the Find Agents and Editors button and go down to Agents. Click on there, and you'll get an alphabetically sorted list of agents. And you can see that as it goes through, it tells you what they represent first and foremost. So if your genre or age group is on that list, that's an agent that you might want to consider. And then all you would do is you can click on that name and it takes you to a much more detailed description of all the things that they like, that they're looking for, favorite genres that they might have, books that they've loved, all those different things. And it usually has some information down on the bottom about how you would end up submitting to them. So that's one way to do it. The other way is, if you already have a list of agents, but you want some more information on them, is you would do a genre or a name search. So you come here, you would type in your agent's name into this box, or you might fill out the different options here in this little menus, and then you would click search. And it's going to give you all the agents that request those things, or all the agents that have that name. So if you typed in the name Laura, it'll give you all the agents on this database that are named Laura. So this is a really great way to go through and get a lot of that specific wish list of what an agent is looking for and help you narrow down your choices. It's really important to note that just because your manuscript fits their wish list to a T doesn't mean that they're going to fall in love with that project. It could fit like 2 or 3 of the things on there and you're just like, how could they possibly refuse it? But then they still do because the tone isn't right, or they're just not looking for that on their list at that moment, or it just doesn't speak to them. There's a million reasons why. I know I've sent out queries and I'm like, this is so perfect. How could they possibly not want to read and represent this? And it's just an automatic pass. So don't be afraid to send those queries out, because remember, the inverse is also true. And some agents will add, sometimes I don't know what I like until I see it, so surprise me. So you might not fit anything on their list, but you're like, you know what? I'm still going to give it a shot. And that might work out. The only way that it's definitely not going to work out is if you don't try. So don't be afraid to kind of put yourself out there at different points. I have 2 caveats with manuscript wish list. One is that not all agents are on there. Many are, but you're going to miss some if you don't cross-reference with other resources like Query Tracker, or reading those acknowledgments in books, or look at some of the other places that we're going to be talking about here in a second. Secondly, some of the author pages aren't always up to date. So always be sure to visit the agency website and review not only the submission requirements, but whether that agent is currently open to queries. So all these different places, all these different resources, they do a really good job of trying to keep them in sync, but sometimes things just get missed. So the most reliable thing to do is to always go back to that agency website and look there. That will give you usually the most current and up-to-date information on what an agent is looking for and whether or not they are open to submissions, as well as how to submit to them. Your second resource for finding agents is Query Tracker. Query Tracker has a basic free version and a paid version that allows for advanced tracking and data capabilities. Much like Manuscript Wishlist, it allows you to search for agents who represent a specific genre or age range. Your search criteria returns a very neat little list that you can pull from to create your own want to query list. So now you have this really nice organized list of all the agents that you're considering. Once you actually start sending those queries out, it will also keep track of who you've sent it to and when you sent it and how you sent it and what the response was, which is really, really nice way to keep track of everything with kind of a minimal amount of effort. Query Tracker is also directly attached to Query Manager. So anytime you send a query using a Query Manager form, it automatically records it for you in Query Tracker as long as you're signed in, which is just one of those really nice things because it's one less step that we have to do, right? So I really like about this system, like how it helps you keep track of who you query so you don't accidentally double query someone or end up accidentally querying two agents at the same agency at the same time, because that's usually a no-no and not something that you should be doing. Most agencies request that you only send a query to one agent. So Query Tracker just really helps keep all that information straight. And that's so helpful because querying can be really stressful. And sometimes we start to forget, like, did I send this to somebody or did I not? And if you try to go back into your email to find that, sometimes emails eat those things and we can never find them. And so we don't know. Query Tracker also does a really great job of keeping itself up to date as far as who is open or closed to queries or when agents leave or move to a new agency. So Query Tracker, again, this fantastic resource. This is what the homepage looks like. And then once you go to agents, you can start searching for agents by name. You can search by genre. You can do an advanced search. It also lets you choose your project. So I have 2 projects on here. This was what I was previously querying. This is what I'm currently querying. So if we look at my query list, I can show this, my query list. I can hide the closed agents or show those. And then I can also filter by query status. So it lets me say, oh, I only want to look at things I'm waiting for replies on, or maybe rejections, or those who are closed, no response, those different types of things. So when you go down onto the list, you'll see it employs this fantastic little smiley face to let you know what happened with that manuscript, right? So obviously the frowny face indicates that it was not something that the agent was going to look at or was interested in. And you can kind of go through this whole thing. It gives you the name of the agent, where they're at, how they query. You have the last time that profile itself was updated. And then you have the age of your query. So it will actually let you know how long you've been querying with that agent. Because some agents will say, hey, if I haven't reached out to you after this long, please give me a nudge. And so that way you can kind of know for sure if this is somebody that I should be like nudging or not. You can see it varies wildly. We got like 3 days, 43, 121. So there's never one regular type of timeline that's going to go out there. So 2 things I really like about this are, one, if you click on an agent's name, so we'll click on pages, it takes you to this beautiful page that has all of your links on it that are just so easy to find. So you've got the website, there's a blog, Twitter handles. Are they an AALA member? Yes, no, and you can visit the site. It has their query manager form right here that you can go to. And then all these other places where you can find them on the internet. So Publishers Marketplace, which we're going to talk about in a second, Google Books, the Association of American Literary Agents, Manuscript Wishlist, which we already talked about, and Twitter Manuscript Wishlist. So this is really, really nice way to do it, and just look. And then as you scroll down, it will give you other agents at that same agency. So you can look through that and decide if there's anybody else at that agency that you want to query, if this agent doesn't pan out for you. But this is really just such a great way to keep track of all the things. There's also the comment section, which can be really interesting and really helpful to give you insight on how an agent responds if they give any type of personalized feedback, if it's usually more of a form rejection and those things. So when you click on that, it'll take you here, and just each user has the choice to put things in. Like here, you have a lot of them. They'll just say, I queried this type of book. This was the date. And then they'll put down if they were got a rejection or a pass or a request. So as you go through, you can really get a sense for like what they're doing. So here we have a kind personalized rejection. We have a couple of form rejections here. So it just all kind of varies, but it's nice to just give that little insight into what the agent's process is to help you better understand that. And then up at the top in this little yellow box, it gives you stats. So all you data nerds out there, this is probably what you love, right? Like when they last replied to something, when they last requested something, and what their average request and reject time is. So you may fall in or out of that category. You just never know. But it's interesting to look at some of this because it's fascinating on the numbers aspect of it. So Query Tracker, really fantastic. And they do an excellent job of keeping it up to date. I'd say that this is one of the most up-to-date systems as far as when an agent opens or closes. When I first start making my query list, I always started with manuscript wish list. That's where I started. Now that I'm more familiar with the process and more familiar with the agents in general, because this is now the 4th manuscript that I put out, I tend to start with Query Tracker and then use the links to get more information. But whichever way you want to start, that's where I would start, is either with Query Tracker or manuscript wish list once you've gone through those acknowledgments of some of your favorite books that are similar in age and genre to your own. Publishers Marketplace is our 3rd resource. This site does require paid access, although I'd say about half of the links on Query Manager somehow still manage to work without me having to log in or have to become a member. And I don't know why. I'm not a tech person, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Regardless, though, Publishers Marketplace offers a glimpse at who that agent represents and lists out any recent deals that they've had. This information is really nice to see because you do always want to see an agent that's actively making deals and has an active client list. It's an indication that they're out there in the current market. So this isn't essential, but it's a nice resource to just get a look at who else do they represent, because a lot of agents don't necessarily have a published client list, right? And if you go to an agency website, they'll just have all of their authors in one page and say, here's like the 100 people that we represent, but they're not going to indicate which agent is representing which author. So having it on Publishers Marketplace is a really nice resource. If you do want to subscribe, you could just do like a month as you're building your list and then unsubscribe. Some people will kind of work together and share that. So however you want to do it, it can be a really, really great way to get that information on specific deals and books that they are representing and bringing out into the world in the publishing market. All right. This brings us to our 4th manuscript. And this one, I think, is one of the absolute most important ones, but it doesn't make a lot of sense until you kind of look at those other ones, right? And this is a website called Writers Beware. This is an absolute, you have to visit this. This is not optional. You absolutely have to do this. Once you have your list of agents that you would like to query, please visit this site and type each and every single one of their names into it and see what comes up. So it's a free resource. You can search all the names of agents and agencies, as well as some small presses. So if you're also looking at small press publishing, this can be a great resource for you. If an agent or agency is listed on the site, that means that search results are returned. Consider this a huge red flag. Read the article that is posted there, all the information, but it's going to talk about not so fabulous things that agent or agency may have done or how they may have treated people. So the website creator offers accounts from authors who have worked with those people, and it's really just to help prevent others from falling into their clutches and being taken advantage of. Of course, people and companies can always change, but remember, this is your career. So don't settle. You and your stories are worth being treated well. So please visit, once you have that list, writers beware, and make sure none of the agents or agencies, even sometimes, that you want to work with are on that site. Because it's going to be the best move for your career. And this is also where some of that lateral reading aspect comes in that I mentioned at the very beginning. So once you have your list of agents, take some time and do a bit more research on them and their agencies. You might find interviews that agents have done. You could listen to, or maybe they teach classes or do writing or offer consults. Many do this through a website called Manuscript Academy, which is a great way to meet an agent before you query and to work on refining your pitch or part of your query package. So again, type that person's name or the agency name into Google and see what comes up. It can give you some really great insight on who they are and if you think you would work well with them. You don't have to do a deep dive, but it just gives you some other background, because lateral reading, just to make sure that this is the type of person you want to work with, is really important. Because again, this is a work relationship that you're setting up. This isn't a friendship. This is somebody else handling your career as an author. So they're going to handle all the administrative side of it. So can you have a great relationship with them? Absolutely. But in the end, always be cautious about being friends with agents. And what I mean by this isn't because they aren't totally awesome people. They are. It's because very few people are good at managing a friendship with someone who is also working for us. So it's just something to keep in mind as you start your querying journey. But you don't want to have those two hats and have them not come together in a good way, because there can be some conflict and some tension there. So just always be cautious of that. Have those great relationships, but always keep it professional and working, because again, it's your career and it's their career. So you really want to make sure that you're honoring both of those things. All right, Scribblers, I feel like I've thrown a lot of information at you. So that's it for now. The websites I talked about in this video are all linked below, along with links to the writing coaching and editorial services that are offered by the Scribblers Den. We can help you get your manuscript ready to be queried out. We'd love to help you develop that query list through a coaching session if you're interested, and just get your manuscript polished and ready to present. So thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to share any other great resources you know of for finding agents down in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Happy writing, Scribblers.